Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Movie Crusaders. My name's Sean Wasserkrug, and today we're reviewing one of the Oscar favorites to finally hit streaming on Amazon Prime, and that is One Night in Miami. This movie has been talked about now for, I'd probably say, at least through the holiday season, about their performances and the directorial debut of actress Regina King. This film, the main plot of the film, it's also based on a play, by the way, is One Night in Miami is a fictional account of one incredible night where icons Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, Sam Cooke, and Jim Brown gather discussing their roles in the civil rights movement and their cultural upheaval of the 1960s. It's basically a movie. It's a lot of it's very dialogue heavy. It's a lot about just discussion and debate and of these four icons of the 1960s in the African American community. And it's now, if that's something that's not your boat of just watching these icons just talk for basically 2 hours, this might not be the movie for you. And I will admit, for the first 30-40 minutes or so of this, I was kind of like, okay, are we just going to sit in a room and talk all night? Or are we going to do more with this overall film? And the answer is not really. It's really more just these guys just getting together one night. It's the night of when Muhammad Ali, who's Cassius Clay at this point in the film, beats Sonny Liston for the title. So they're all out, instead of out celebrating with the masses. Malcolm X got a room in a hotel or a little motel, and they're all just sitting and they're having discussions, and everyone's already kind of perturbed because they want to go out and party and celebrate, and Malcolm wants to keep everyone indoors. And they basically start having discussions and debates on the civil rights movement, stuff like that. Now, if that sounds boring, okay, I'm sorry, it sounds boring, but the performances and the dialogue of this film is what really, really sells this movie for you. Like I said, about 30-40 minutes in, I was wondering if we're going to get more than what we're getting currently. And the answer is no, in terms of what the film is, but in terms of the level of discussion and the performances that we had gotten at that point, the answer is yes. The discussions get a lot more heated. The discussions get a lot more personal than they do in the first 30-40 minutes of the film, which naturally they should. But the main thing that you need to focus on when it comes to One Night in Miami is the performances of these four actors in this film. To start off, Kingsley Ben-Adir, who plays Malcolm X, does a fantastic job. He enthralled me in playing Malcolm X. No different than how Denzel did back when he played Malcolm X in the 90s. Kingsley does a great job of portraying the Malcolm X character from beginning to end. He is a character that when he gets on his soapbox, per se, he grabs you. He makes you focus on his words. He makes you take notice of the words that he's saying, just like he gets the other three main characters to do as well. Eli Goree, Goree or Gary, I probably said that wrong, I apologize, who plays Cassius Clay / Muhammad Ali. This dude blew me away with his impression of Muhammad Ali. Like, we saw Muhammad Ali portrayed by Will Smith in Ali back in the early 2000s. This guy, to me, looks the part, feels the part, to me, better than what Will Smith did. And that's not a knock on Will Smith. I think Will Smith did a great job as Ali back then. But this guy, I feel, was born to play Muhammad Ali. And if they were ever to remake, honestly, any of these guys, if they were ever going to remake a biography film of Ali, Malcolm X, Sam Cooke, Jim Brown, any of these four guys, these are the guys that should be playing these performances, especially Kingsley for Malcolm X and Eli for Muhammad Ali, because those two, there were times, especially with the Ali character or Cassius Clay character, where I was just so like, I feel like I'm watching the real life Cassius Clay or Muhammad Ali. Like, his performance is so big. And I will say his performance is not as bombastic or as big as Malcolm X or Sam Cooke per se, because the story is really about the wedge between those two. And Jim Brown and Muhammad Ali are kind of there. Not that they don't get their moments, because they definitely get their moments. But those two are kind of more more of the focal point. but I think Eli Goree does a fantastic job playing Ali, and I would watch him play Ali in future films if he ever decided to do that. Big standout also, obviously, Leslie Odom Jr., who is getting Oscar recognition for his performance as Sam Cooke. I mean, we all know and love him as Aaron Burr in Hamilton. This is honestly, I think, the first thing I've seen him in since Hamilton, and he puts on a phenomenal performance as Sam Cooke. We know the guy can sing, and when he sings as Sam Cooke, it is magnetic, especially the last number at the end of the movie. His performance of that is incredible. And Leslie Odom Jr. definitely is his coming out party. Whereas with Hamilton, we all recognize Hamilton. I mean, he won awards for Aaron Burr, but it was a stage performance. This is an actual film. And I think Leslie Odom Jr. has done everything he needs to do to come out and become a standout actor in Hollywood with this performance of Sam Cooke. And we'll see how that happens when it comes to awards season. And then Aldous Hodge, probably the biggest name of these four actors. He's the one that's been around to me the longest, the one I've recognized from performances. I've been watching Aldous Hodge ever since he popped up on Supernatural in season 2 for a couple episodes. He plays Jim Brown, and he probably has the least amount to do in the film overall, but he is the glue that kind of keeps all three of these other guys in check and together on this night when tempers get heated and the discussions go a little too personal. Jim Brown is the guy that is kind of keeping everyone together, and Aldous Hodge does a great job in his performance. And that is basically what comes down to this film. Yes, it's a movie about four guys who hang out one night in a hotel or a motel, whatever you want to call it, and are just discussing politics, the civil rights movement, their personal lives, and stuff like that. Are they going out and doing a hangover kind of thing? No. Is there conspiracy theories, or is there a big action sequence in this? No, there's not. But it is a fantastic discussion about with four iconic people that everyone knows, and watching their perceptions of certain things twist and turn throughout the night, depending on how the discussion wavers, and knowing a little bit of the history of these four characters and where they inevitably end up going in their lives, especially two in particular. Within a year of this night they hung out, really speaks volumes even more towards the performances and the importance of the night itself. But yes, if you're not into just a bunch of people just talking for 2 hours, and it might not be for stuff that you care about, then One Night might be that great of a film for you overall. But for me, like I said, once the conversation got a little more heated, a little more personal, especially between Malcolm X and Sam Cooke, the attention fully grasped me. I think the performances were great. I think Regina King does a great job in her directorial debut. And I think One Night in Miami is a standout film that could be a dark horse when it comes to Oscar season, up against what to me really is a lackluster 2020 cast going into the Oscar season, whether it be the performances of Leslie Odom Jr. or Kingsley Ben-Adir or Regina King herself for directing. I think this could be a dark horse when it comes to Oscar season. So in terms of recommendations, like I said, if you have Amazon Prime, it's free. Just go to Amazon Prime, click play, doesn't cost you anything. I strongly recommend it. I think the four performances from these actors are incredible, and I think it's also a very important film by today's standards as well. So I would definitely recommend it. Going to my overall score, and that is something we're going to be doing a little bit different this year, guys. A lot of you have really been confused or not really understanding my scores. I did it as out of 10 over the last couple years, and that's just because I say one thing is like a 7 out of 10, another thing is an 8 out of 10. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm saying that movie that's an 8 is better than a 7. It's my personal opinion. It's the way I feel the film is. Kind of like a Rotten Tomato thing. It's I do it as a grade per se. If I say it's a 7.4 out of 10, I'm giving it a 74%, which effectively is a C. That's a C movie for me. And anything that's in the 90s is, well, 74 for me is a B. But in terms of stuff that I give like an 85 or higher, I consider an 85 now in terms of school grading. That's a B, but I consider an 85 or higher, which by logistics is a 4.5-star film or higher as an A movie, whereas at 5 stars obviously A+. So this year I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm gonna go full on grading scale with a percentage and a letter grade. So just so you guys understand what my grading system is, here's my review score breakdown of what it's going to be like at least through the year and onward for me. As you can see here, there's my star ratings and what that equals out to as a percentage. And then to the right, you can see the star rating and what that equals out to in terms of a letter grade. So going into One Night in Miami, I'm actually going to give it an 88%, which is an A grade. Like I said, the performances are stellar. The directorial decisions of Regina King are stellar. It's just that first 30, 40 minutes, it's a little hard to get into and might lose some viewers along the way. So an 88% is what I'm giving One Night in Miami. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you guys did, go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe button to the channel so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos that pop up on Movie Crusaders. And of course, don't forget to follow us on all the social media outlets you see below. Coming up next, one of the bigger Oscar favorite movies as well that was supposed to come out like April of last year, but because of COVID, got released on Christmas. And that is Promising Young Woman. So be on the lookout for that review. And until next time, in case I don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Movie Crusaders.
You're still here? It's over. Go home.